The ultimatum from Earth. The war began with a whisper and ended with a scream. 12 years ago, the Galactic Empire dispatched a peacekeeping force to a Terran colony named New Eden, orbiting a quiet yellow star in the Perseus Arm. The mission, they claimed, was to quell civil unrest. In truth, it was conquest. Earth had refused to join the Empire's economic vassalage, and New Eden was the price of rebellion. The Empire expected a swift surrender. What they received was an education in the human capacity for vengeance. For 12 brutal years, Terran space rang with the clash of railguns, the howl of vacuum-exploding dreadnoughts, and the silent death of orbital bombardments. The Terran Accord, an alliance of Earth, Mars, and her off-world colonies, lost 2 billion souls. The Empire lost 3 entire fleets, several noble houses, and its illusion of invulnerability. Now, in the 24th year of the Third Galactic Cycle, the Empire wanted to negotiate. 1.1. Earth rebuilt but not forgotten. President Cassandra Wren stood at the edge of the Terran Unity Spire, gazing out over the rebuilt skyline of New Geneva. The air shimmered with the faint hum of energy shields that guarded the capital, a precaution that had become tradition since the war. From this height, she could see the scars of old orbital strikes etched into the earth below. The city had healed. She had not. Behind her, the council chamber bustled with the leaders of the Terran Accord, governors from Europa, Martian high commanders, even the envoys from the Titan Enclave and Centauri Free Zone. All had gathered for one reason. The Empire had sent a delegation request. Wren turned at last, her face stern, the silver in her hair shining under the artificial sunlight. "You've read the transmission?" They had. The room fell silent. Governor Alika Menendez of Mars broke the stillness. "They call it a peace mission, but they come with diplomatic cruisers equipped with stealth tech and orbital shields. That's not peace, it's pressure." General Run Tao, head of Terran Defense Command, nodded grimly. "They think we've grown soft, that we rebuilt and forgot. But we didn't. I still have a list of names. My brother's on it." Wren walked to the center of the council dais. "I need your votes. But first, you need to understand why we cannot let them set foot in Terran space again." 1.2. Ghosts of the Empire. She pressed a button on the console. The chamber dimmed, and holograms flickered to life around them, testimonies from the war. First, a girl from New Eden, no older than 8, her eyes hollow. "They locked us in the biodomes and turned off the oxygen. Said it was punishment." Next, a former diplomat. "They took my son because I refused to renounce Earth. They said they'd send him back if I signed the treaty. I never saw him again. Just pieces." Then, footage, raw and unedited, of Prison World E742, where Terran POWs had been subjected to gene experiments. A silence fell over the room like a shroud. Cassandra let the silence stretch. "We never bombed their civilian worlds. We never desecrated their temples. We never violated the Galactic Conduct Accords, even when they did. We play by the rules." She paused, voice rising, and they saw that as weakness. A murmur of agreement rippled through the council. 1.3. The vote. Wren looked at each representative in turn. "This is not just about Earth. This is about us. The Accord is a sovereign bloc. We've earned that right through blood and resilience. If we let them in, even for diplomacy, we reopen the wound." Admiral Tao stood. "Let them come, and they'll see our cities, our technology, our strength, and they'll want it again." Alika Menendez tapped the table. "We should be the ones to set the terms now, not the other way around." One by one, the votes were cast. 27-0. The Terran Sovereignty Act was passed. A declaration was drafted, firm and unapologetic. Henceforth, no vessel, emissary, or proxy of the Galactic Empire shall enter Terran space. Any such incursion shall be treated as a hostile act, met with immediate and overwhelming retaliation. Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive. 1.4. Broadcast. Cassandra Wren stepped into the planetary communications chamber. Across the galaxy, hundreds of species would see her face, hear her words. No translator could blunt the meaning. The transmission began. Citizens of the stars, she began calm and clear. For 12 years, Earth and her colonies endured the wrath of a regime that called itself enlightened. We were bombed, occupied, and butchered because we refused to kneel. The feed cut briefly to scenes of Earth during the war. Burning cities, starship wreckage over Mars, the shattered colony domes on Europa. We survived, Ren continued. And now the Empire returns. Not an apology, but an arrogance. They ask for entry into our space, not to seek justice, but to test our strength. We will not give them the satisfaction. She leaned forward slightly. Effective immediately, the Galactic Empire is barred from Terran space. The message was relayed through every diplomatic channel, blasted on open band comms, and encrypted for allies only. The galaxy held its breath. 1.5. The Empire reacts. On Arcani's prime, throne world of the Empire, the Emperor himself, Lucian Vallis II, received the message in the Imperial Court. His face twisted in disbelief. Earth? The mongrel world? Denying us. An advisor whispered, they control the Centauri gateways now. And they've been reverse engineering quantum fold weapons. They're no longer the same prey. Lucian's voice was quiet. Then perhaps they need to be reminded of the old order. But even as he spoke, reports arrived. Dozens of border worlds near Terran space had refused to allow Imperial ships entry. Small empires were switching allegiances. Trade lines were failing. Worse still, rumors spread that Earth had developed Starlance, a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems without leaving debris. None had seen it, but all believed it. The Empire's grip was slipping, and it had only just begun. 1.6. Cassandra's Vigil. Back on Earth, Cassandra stood alone at the Unity Spire's edge once more, looking into the night sky. A lieutenant approached. Ma'am, the Empire's transmission logs show heavy internal communications. They didn't take it well. She smirked. Good. What if they crossed the line anyway? She didn't look away from stars. Then we'll remind them why we call it Terran space now. The line in the stars. They came at dawn, just past the orbit of Pluto. A formation of 5 ships, 1 Imperial dreadnought and 4 escort cruisers, slipped through the Kuiper belt under full stealth. Their mission was to breach Terran space undetected, reach Mars, and establish observation protocols. In truth, it was a test. The Galactic Empire wanted to know, would Earth actually follow through on its warning? They found their answer before they reached Neptune. 2.1. The first violation. Admiral Run Tao, commander of the Terran Fifth Fleet, stood aboard the TSV Vengeance, a sleek battleship bristling with prototype weapons. Around him, the CIC was silent, cold, efficient. They just breached the exclusion perimeter, his comms officer said, voice tight. Passive stealth systems confirm their IFF. It's Imperial. Tao's jaw tensed. No diplomatic pings? None. They're dark and fast. Tao didn't hesitate. Raise the fleet. Load the Starlance warheads. Send the code black signal. He turned to the holotank, displaying the approaching vessels. No warnings. No comms. Just enforcement. Moments later, a bright line of white seared across space. The lead dreadnought disappeared into a flash of collapsing gravity, crumpling into a singularity before the rest of its escort could blink. 3 of the cruisers immediately turned to flee. The 4th hesitated and was erased by a railgun slug traveling at 0.4 light speed. 2.2. Retaliation without apology. The next message was broadcast not just across Terran space, but through open galactic channels. Admiral Tao appeared, face hard as steel. Imperial ships violated Terran sovereignty and were destroyed without loss of life on our side. Let this be your only reminder. The line is drawn. Cross it again, and you will not return. The galaxy erupted. Some denounced Earth's aggression. Many whispered admiration. And across the stars, factions that once cowered behind Imperial banners began to question whether the old gods of power still reigned. 2.3. Cracks in the Empire. On Vallis Secundus, one of the Empire's central military worlds, protests broke out, led not by commoners, but by Imperial officers. "The Emperor has squandered our fleets to provoke a war we cannot win," shouted General Othello Grain. "Earth is no longer a colony. It is a superpower, and we are hemorrhaging loyalty." A dozen Outer Rim governors declared independence that week. 5 worlds defected directly to the Terran Accord, citing protection, trade, and technological exchange. Earth responded with uncharacteristic grace, offering humanitarian aid and medical nanite shipments. For the first time in recorded galactic history, an empire was bleeding power, and it wasn't at war with itself. It was losing to Earth's restraint. 2.4, a second offer. Desperate, the Empire sent a final message. This time, it came with the seal of the royal line. "We acknowledge the Terran Accord as a sovereign entity. We request open negotiations at the neutral station of Elysius Prime to establish new protocols for coexistence." It was diplomatic surrender without saying the word. Earth, however, refused to meet them halfway. President Wren sent back a single sentence: "We do not recognize your right to dictate protocol in Terran space." 2.5. The Galactic Council rises. In the aftermath, smaller powers rallied to Earth, not out of fear, but out of hope. The Centauri Republic, the Allery tribes, and the once-neutral Walkeri joined forces to propose the unthinkable. The first Galactic Council, independent of the Empire. Earth was offered a leading seat. At the Unity Spire, Cassandra Wren sat before the Terran Council once more. "They want us to lead," said Admiral Tau. "We didn't ask for this," said Governor Menendez. "No," Wren replied, "but we earned it." Still, she hesitated. "We cannot become what we fought." A moment of silence passed. Then Tau said, "Then we lead by example, and by fire, if needed." The Accord voted. Earth joined the Council, not as a ruler, but as a balance. 2.6. The Iron Beacon. To make their position clear, the Accord constructed a massive station at the edge of Terran space, just beyond the ruins of the Empire's destroyed dreadnought. Its name, Iron Beacon, floating like a fortress in the void. The beacon constantly broadcast one repeating message in every galactic language: "This space is sovereign. Entry without consent will be met with force." Earth remembers. It was not just a warning. It was a monument, a symbol of the line that had been drawn and held. 2.7. Cassandra's last speech. In her final term as president, Cassandra Wren stood before the largest unified audience in galactic history. Billions watched her from every edge of the spiral arms. "We are not conquerors," she said, her voice clear and unshaken. "We do not ask for tribute. We do not ask for obedience." A pause. "But we demand respect." Images of fallen Terran soldiers, men, women, children lost in the war, appeared behind her. This was not just a conflict. It was a crucible, and we emerged forged, stronger, smarter, unyielding, then softer. "We owe it to the fallen to keep the peace they never lived to see." She raised a hand. "So let this be our promise to the stars. Earth is sovereign. Terran space is sacred, and we will never kneel again." 2.8. Epilogue. Peace by Steel. 10 years later, a scout ship from an unknown race approached the border of Terran space. They sent a greeting. They expected resistance. Instead, they received a calm message: "State your intent." "We are listening." No weapons fired. No shields raised. But the Iron Beacon loomed behind the message like a silent guardian. The scout's captain bowed his head. "We come in peace.